welcome back in the channel of Clinical Care Insight. We started a series of lecture on the osteology, a branch of anatomy which deals with study of the bone. Since now we already discussed about the basic difference between the osteology and the orthopedics. Okay, we discussed how the cartilage and the bone are the different thing, okay, and how bone ossification occurs. Okay, now today in this lecture we are dealing with, we will deal with one of the interesting phenomenon of our body, that's called the bone remodeling. We will deal this bone remodeling under these following headings. We will first deal with the introduction, and then what is the difference between the two process, a bone repairing, or we can say a bone healing, and the bone remodeling. Okay, these are the two aspects. Okay, in previous video we differentiate the bone ossification versus the bone, we can say the remodeling, but in this video we will look into and see that how bone remodeling and the bone healing, or we can say the repair of the bone, is the two different aspect or two different thing. Okay, now we will also deal with the steps of bone remodeling. Okay, steps of bone remodeling. Then what are the factors which affect the bone remodeling? Okay, basically in this we will talk about the effect of hormones, then some of the related pathology. Clear? So now first I go with the introduction. Some of you know already about the bone remodeling. See the name, it's already the bone is formed in our body. Okay, and it's sometimes what happened, we are continuously we can indulge in activities. Okay, activities like we are walking, we are talking. Okay, then we are doing the exercise. Okay, and there are other activities as well we are doing. So all these activity basically exert one kind of mechanical stress. Okay, mechanical stress to our bones. Okay, understanding? And these mechanical stresses, they do the bones. Okay, they affect the bones. Sometimes there is happening of, we can say, the micro damages. Okay, then got micro damages. Clear? And sometimes bone, we can say there is a deformities happened. Okay, deformities in the bone, deformities. Okay, deformities happen. Okay, it's like a micro, we can say the mechanical stress we are exerting on the bone. Okay, and bone will have some kind of, we can say, the micro damage, and these deformities is basically alteration in their minerals. Okay, we are saying it is a mineralization. Okay, or excess mineralization, excess mineralization. Understanding? So, and our body, it's like a, like it's a topmost advanced machine. Okay, it's the topmost advanced machines. So they know, body knows how to repair themselves. Okay, so this bone, they undergo one process to recover their normal, we can say, the structure, and normal their mineralization, we can say their matrix, normal level of their cellular environment. So this process, okay, is called bone remodeling. Understanding? This process is called bone remodeling. You feel it interesting? Yeah, it's a interesting. No, it's a interesting. Like you are disturbing bone. Okay, and your bone is ready all the time to undergo this amazing, fascinating, we can say, the process that's called the bone remodeling. Okay, bone remodeling. So write down the definition of the bone remodeling. Bone remodeling is an ongoing process. Okay, it's an ongoing process that occur throughout the life to maintain bone strength and repair the micro damages Since in the previous lecture we seen that the bone remodeling, okay, and bone ossification is the two different things. The fundamental difference we find out is that the bone ossification is started in the intrauterine life. Okay, it's started in the intrauterine life till the, we can say, the 25 years of the age. Okay, that's a bone ossification. And we seen that bone remodeling, it's like a throughout the lifespan. This process is going to be throughout your lifespan. Okay, so it's this bone remodeling, we can say it's a throughout the lifespan. Okay, this process is going to happen throughout the lifespan. Understood? Now, these process, they help in the first, the repair the we can say micro damages, or we can also say repair the micro fractures. So micro damages, and maintaining this mineralization, or we can say maintaining the bone strength, maintaining the bone strength. Okay, because like this mechanical activity, you know it, it's like some of the physical activities, okay, and sometimes you are under a work of, we can say, the exercise, weight bearing exercise. Okay, weight bearing exercise. Understanding? There was one scientist, okay, whose name is Julius Woolf. He is professional wise, he is an anatomist and surgeon. He given one law. That law is called the Woolf law. This law is called Woolf law. These law states that our bone is adaptive in nature. Adaptive. What it means adaptive? It means you can put the mechanical stress, or we are saying that we can put the load on the bone, okay, and bone will try to adjust or try to tolerate this load, okay, by the process of bone remodeling. Let me say it once again, that this law, that's called the Woolf law, it law says that you are putting the load on the bones, and bones has the capacity to tolerate those kind of loads. Okay, it takes time. Okay, it's undergo this bone remodeling phenomenon, or we can say the process, and they are capable to adapt those loads. Okay, they are capable to adapt those loads. That's why we can say the bone is adaptive in nature. That's one very wonderful things about our bones. Okay, and second thing, you know that your skeletal system is a very active metabolic, we can say, part. It's a very active metabolic organ. Okay, it's a very active metabolic organ. Okay, now in the process of correcting these problems that by the bone remodeling, okay, there is a generation of calcium ion in the bloodstream. Okay, in this process, the bone remodeling process, what happened, this by the repairing the micro damages, okay, and maintaining the bone strength, okay, there is a release of lots of calcium. So this is a one way, we can say bone remodeling is a one way to meet the calcium requirement in our body. Okay, it's a one way to meet calcium requirement in our body. Is that clear? Understanding? Okay, now this bone remodeling, as I said, it's going to throughout the lifespan. Okay, it's going to be throughout in the lifespan. But you know that if something is worthful, it means they are sometimes they are prone, they are dependent. Yeah, bone remodeling is dependent upon the circulation of, we can say, the hormones. Okay, it's dependent upon the circulation of hormone, the both hormone. Okay, your systemic hormones, okay, and the local hormones. Understanding? Let me repeat it once again. The bone remodeling, okay, can be affected by systemic hormone, okay, and local hormone. Systemic hormones means like it can be affected by estrogen. Okay, that's why in the post-menstrual female, or we can say the menopause women, they have one common problem, that's called the osteoporosis. Okay, and it is due to the defect in their bone remodeling. We will see later in a few minutes. And there are other hormone as well. Okay, vitamin D, parathyroid hormones, they can also affect the bone remodeling. Then you have the local hormones like some of the cytokinins, okay, insulin like growth factor, okay, and there are many, okay, there are like interleukins, okay, these all are the considered as the local hormones. Okay, they can also affect the bone remodeling. Understanding? It's a lifelong process. Remember, it's a lifelong process. Okay, now this bone remodeling, okay, this bone remodeling we can categorize, we can make them in a step, in 3 steps. We can make them in 3 steps. Understand by the 3 steps. 3 steps of bone remodeling. What are these 3 steps? The first step is resorption. Okay, second one is your reversal process. Understanding? And last process is your formation of new bone line. Okay, last is a formation. Now, in the previous lecture, you know that there are different types of bone cells, mainly the 3 types of cells: osteoblast, osteoclast, and osteocytes. Okay, and they have their specific functions. You are clear with these cells. Now, In the process of bone remodeling, mainly the two bone cells are actively involved. Okay, the two bone cells, they are actively involved. Can anyone cite the name? Yeah, very good. It's a osteoclast. Write down. It's a osteoclast. Okay, and osteoblast and osteoblast. Osteoclast and osteoblast, these are the two bone cells who are actively active in the bone remodeling, Why I am saying actively active? Because there is a need for the activation of the first, the osteoblast cell, and then osteoclast cell. Clear? Let me summarize it once again. The bone remodeling is a process, it's a like ongoing process, by which the bones repair their micro damage, and gain their bone strength. They repair the micro damages and maintaining the bone strength. Understood? Now there is one law called Woolf law, given by the Julius Woolf. This law states that our bone is adaptive in nature. Our bone, or all the animals' bone, is adaptive in nature. It means if you are putting the load on the bone, bone try to tolerate those load by the phenomenon of bone remodeling. Clear? Understanding? Now our skeleton system is a active metabolic organ. It's a active metabolic organ, and by this process that's called the bone remodeling, we will see in a short time, after a short time, that there is a release of calcium, lots of calcium in the bone stream, and that's why this is the one way to meet the calcium requirement in our body, or we can say the maintain the calcium equilibrium. Now bone remodeling can be affected by both the systemic hormones as well as the local hormones. The good example of systemic hormones is your estrogen, and androgen is also involved, very good. And your local hormones, some of the local hormones like interleukins, cytokinins, understanding, insulin like growth factor, then something called fibrin factors, they all are involved in the bone remodeling, maintaining, or we can say the controlling the bone remodeling. Understanding? And there are the two cells which are actively active in the bone remodeling. The first cell is called the osteoblast, and osteoclast. Both are the bone cells, and this whole bone remodeling we will deal under the 3 steps. The first step is reabsorption, and remember, reabsorption is done by the bone eating cell. And who is bone eating cell? Very good, it's a osteoclast. Very good. Then there is a reversal process, appearance of mononuclear cells, and then there is a formation, the bone forming cell, osteoblast. Understanding? Have any doubt? No? Shall we move ahead? Yeah. Once we discussed about the bone remodeling introductory part, now first we will deal, or we will see the first step of bone formation. That's a reabsorption, that's a resorption. I felt it's like an interesting process. It's a interesting process. No one is going to tolerate throughout the lifespan, but these bones, they are able to do. So we are discussing basically the steps involved in the bone remodeling. So before discussing this, first I should clear the two terms. That's what we written in our lecture outline. There's a difference between the process of bone repair and bone remodeling. Bone remodeling and bone repair, or we can say the bone healing. Okay, bone healing. See, this bone healing and bone remodeling, they are the two different process, but although both are involved in maintaining the bone integrity and their normal anatomical, we can say, alignment. Okay, they are the two different things. First of all, it should you keep in your mind that these both two are the different thing. Okay, but both are meant for maintaining the bone strength. Okay, maintaining the bone strength, and we can say maintaining their alignment. Okay, maintaining their alignment. See, bone remodeling, it's a continuous process. It's a continuous process, while this bone healing, it's happened in a specific time. Like when you have the injury, like you have the fracture, on that very moment this bone healing process will come into the picture. Okay, and the second difference is the involvement of the cell. Normally, as you've seen that in the bone remodeling, only the two cells are involved, two bone cells are involved, that's your osteoclast and osteoblast. Okay, mainly the two cells involved, one is called osteoblast, okay, another one is called osteoclast. But in the case of bone healing, there is a involvement of these two cells, but apart from these two cells, there is also involvement of inflammatory cells. Okay, also the involvement of inflammatory cells. Understanding? You have any doubt? No. Since bone remodeling will release the calcium, it's release the calcium ions, whereas in the case of bone healing there is no any release of calcium ion. Okay, there is no any release of calcium ion. Now if we talk about their duration, okay, it's have the long term duration, whereas it is a short term. And if we talk about their purposes, the bone remodeling purpose, as you know, it's just for the maintaining the bone strength. Okay, and it's for the repairing the micro damages. Okay, but bone healing, they serve for their own purposes. Okay, like sometimes the bone will fracture. Okay, on that time the bone healing process will come. Okay, that's the fundamental difference. But you see that both are involved in the betterment of bone. Both are involved in the betterment of bone, but they are two different things. Okay, they are two different things. Now after the discussing of this difference between the bone remodeling and bone healing, we will move ahead and discuss the steps involved in the bone remodeling. Okay, steps involved in the bone remodeling. Now there are three steps, as I said. There are three steps involved in the bone remodeling. The first step, as I said, it's called, the first step is your resorption. First stage is resorption. Okay, second one is reversal. Okay, and last one is the formation. So first we will deal with this process, that's called the resorption. As I said, this resorption process, this is done by the osteoclast cell. This is done by the osteoclast cell. Okay, this is done by the osteoclast cell. But here the question arises, how osteoclast cell reabsorb the bone? Okay, how osteoclast cell reabsorb the bone. And second question similar to that is, how osteoclasts know that they have to reabsorb the bone? Okay, these cells are basically sleeping in the bone. Okay, let's draw the one diagram of the bone and see. Suppose this is one long bone, okay, and as you know from the previous class that this is externally covered by the peri. Okay, these are covered by the peritoneum, okay, or we can say the periosteum. Okay, these are covered externally by the periosteum, and in the long bone generally the spongy or cancellous bones we can say are present in this area. Okay, and here is your beautiful medullary canal where your precious bone marrow are situated. This is bone marrow cavity, and here the bone marrow are situated, and it is your articular cartilage. It is your articular cartilage present in both the end. This part is called epiphysis. Okay, this shaft it is called the diaphysis. Okay, and this middle portion is called the metaphysis. Here your growth plate is present. Understanding? No any doubt? Now we are finding out where these osteoclast cells are present. They are basically present in these peripheral areas. Okay, they are basically present in the peripheral part. Okay, where? In the leucine of the bone. Okay, in the leucine of bones. Okay, they are basically present in concentric manner. They are present basically in the, this is one leucine, suppose, and these osteoclasts, they are present in a concentric manner. Okay, they are present in a concentric manner. Understanding? But the question is, how these osteoclast cells who are sleeping in the leucine, how they are activated, how they knows that the bone is damaged. Okay, there is excessive, we can say, the mineralization in the bone. How they know? They knows by the one process. Okay, or we can say the series of process. For each of the study we will make one flow chart and see how these cells they are going to activate and perform the first step of bone remodeling, that's called the resorption. See, okay, you know that you are putting the mechanical stress to the bone. Okay, you are putting the mechanical stress to the bone. Now the bone will take this stress, and they are mechanosensitive. So this mechanical stress, when they are put it on the bone is, as I said, it's a mechanosensitive. So what they are doing, they are undergoing one process that's called the mechanotransduction. Write down this process. This process is called mechanotransduction. The bone undergo mechanotransduction. Now, what happened in the mechanotransduction? They convert basically the mechanical energy into the biochemical signals. They convert the bone once they feel the mechanical pressure, when they feel the mechanical stress. Okay, they are converting this mechanical, we can say, the energy or mechanical stress into the biochemical signaling. Okay, into the biochemical signaling. So what happened in the mechanotransduction process? The mechanical stress, they are changes into the biochemical signaling. Okay, biochemical signaling. Now this biochemical signaling will go to the bone, okay, and they go to the bone internal environment, we can say, okay, and they knock the one cell, and that cell is called no osteoclast directly. First they will wake up the osteoblast. First they will wake up the osteoblast. Osteoblast. Are you understanding what happened? You are exerting the mechanical stress by the physical activities, running, walking, jumping, okay, and some of the, we can say, the exercise, okay, some kind of a specific exercise, that's called basically the weight bearing exercise. So by all those things you are exerting the pressures, or we can say the stress on the bone, okay. Bone undergo one phenomenon, that's called the mechanotransduction. Under this phenomenon, what is happening? The mechanical stress, they are converting into the biochemical signaling, and this biochemical signaling in turn activate the osteoblast, okay, and osteoblast, they secrete one, we can say, they express one gene, and that gene further express one kind of ligand, and this is called basically the RANK. Understanding? No problem. Now you want to the full name, okay, write down. It's a receptor. Write down. The name of the RANK is receptor activator of nuclear factor kappa B ligand. Okay, once again write down the receptor activators of nuclear factor kappa B ligand. In short form we are calling it RANK. Okay, we are calling it RANK. Okay, now this biochemical signaling, once they receive the osteoblast, they undergo the proliferation, okay, and we can say the replicants are increasing their number, and they are expressing one kind of, we can say, the ligand, and this ligand receptor is present in the osteoclast cell. Are you understanding? This ligand, this is a ligand, then they need the receptor. For their receptor is present in the osteoclast cell, okay, osteoclast cells. So this RANK, they goes to the osteoclast cell receptor, and that's called the RANK. That's called the, it is a RANKL ligand, okay, and the receptor which is present is called RANK, and it is present in the osteoclast. Now once these osteoclast, they receive this ligand, okay, there is a activation of osteoclast. There is a activation of osteoclast. Okay, now you know the diagram of osteoclast, structure of osteoclast, how they are looking. Osteoclast is basically the multi-nucleated cell. It's a multi-nucleated cell. See the diagram. This is your bone. Yeah, this is your bone, okay, and here is your beautiful osteoclast cell, okay, and this is the leukine of bone, okay. Osteoclast cells, as I said, it is a multinucleated. First of all, it is a multinucleated cell. Okay, they possesses the membrane bound mitochondria. Okay, plenty of mitochondria they have, and they also have lysosomes. They have the lysosomes. Okay, change the color. They have the lysosomes. Understanding? Now, they have, we can say, projections. They have the projection, and this is basically called the rapid shield. They are basically called the ruffled border, or we can say the brush border appearance. These cells have the brush border appearance, or we can say the ruffled border. Understanding? Now, what happened? These lysozymes, they are carrying one destructive enzyme, and that's called the cathepsin K. That's called the cathepsin K. Okay, they are the collagen digesting enzyme, or we can say simply the proteases. They are the proteases. Okay, then these osteoclast, they are secreting the hydrogen ions. They are secreting the hydrogen ions. Okay, they are secreting the hydrogen ions in their surrounding. They are secreting the hydrogen ion. Now, they are secreting some of more, we can say, the enzymes. Okay, like for example, the one enzyme, as I said, it's a lysozyme, which are a cathepsin K. Okay, they are also secreting some of the acid enzyme, that's called the matrix metalloproteases. Okay, matrix metalloproteases. They also secrete the matrix metalloproteases. Understanding? Okay, they are just digesting the protein parts, we can say the collagen fibers in the bone. Now, understand the bone reabsorption steps now. You are understanding it? Let me summarize it once again. We are discussing basically the steps involved in the bone remodeling. Okay, and we seen that the first step, that basically the bone remodeling is dealt under the 3 steps. Okay, the first step is called reabsorption, second one is called the reversal process, third one is called the bone forming process. Okay, in the reabsorption process there is involvement of osteoclast, but there is a one questions we put it, that how osteoclast will know they have to reabsorb the bone. Okay, and in the, we can, another word we can say, how osteoclast will reabsorb the bone. These are the 2 questions. Then we see that basically these cells are sleeping in their beautiful place. Okay, they are basically sleeping in the bone environment. Okay, basically in the leucine of the bone, and they will, how they will wake up? They will wake up by when we are putting the mechanical stress. Okay, bones are very good, it's like a mechanosensitive. Bones are a mechanosensitive. So when the mechanical stress is applied on the bone, okay, bone undergo mechanotransduction, and this mechanotransduction results into changing the mechanical stress into the biochemical signaling. This biochemical signaling is received by the osteoblast, bone forming cell. Okay, and osteoblast will start proliferating, and they are activated. They in turn express what kind of protein? That's called basically the receptor. Okay, receptor activator of nuclear factor kappa B. Okay, ligand, kappa B ligand, and this ligand receptor is present, we seen in the osteoclast cell. Very good. Now these osteoclast cells, when this interact with this, their expression of the osteoblast cells, they start proliferation and they become active. Okay, they become active. Then we are depicting their diagram. Okay, we seen that The osteoclast cell is a specialized cell. It is one of the specialized cell in our body, and they are basically the multinucleated first of all, okay, and they have the another unique feature is this brush appearance, brush border appearance, okay. Now they containing the lysosome, this lysozymes, they secreted some of the protein digesting enzyme, or we can say the proteases. The one beautiful example is cathepsin K, okay. Then they are also secreting some of the matrix metalloproteases, okay, and they secrete the hydrogen ions, okay. Basically they are creating the acidic environment in the damaged part of the bone, and it is your bone. Now once you understood all these things, now we move ahead and see how this reabsorption is taking place, okay. Shall I rub this? Okay. Now the bone reabsorption first happened in the attachment, okay. Attachment of what? Osteoclast, this brush border cells, to the bone damaged part, that's called the attachments. By the attachments they release the hydrogen ion, okay, and the lysozymes is releasing the cathepsin K. This cathepsin K basically digesting the proteins. So proteins is start digesting the collagen start degrading, okay, by the action of cathepsin K, and there is a creation of acidic environment. There is a creation of the acidic environments which again in turn digest the bone minerals, okay, which again in turn digest the bone minerals. Then there is one more enzyme called the matrix metalloproteases, okay. They are also digesting the bone matrix part, okay. So in the second phases there is a degradation of, we can say, the bone minerals, okay. And once the bone minerals they are degraded, okay, once the bone minerals they are degraded, then there is a release of calcium ion, okay. There is a release of calcium ion, understanding? There is a release of calcium ion. See, they are isolating the bone, okay. They are attached in one part, and there are we can say the many osteoclast cells who are like arranged in a one fashion, okay, and they occupy some of the space of the damaged bone part, okay, and they are just putting their, what is this, their brush, we can say the brush border appearance, okay, and there's one specific name you just write down, okay, their name is rufflet border, or we can simply call it as brush border, okay. The main thing you should remember is that by this rufflet there is a creation of isolated environment, okay. Now they release in the hydrogen ion, and there is a pH 4.3, okay. pH will go to the 4.3, okay, which in turn digests the bone mineralization, and there is a release of calcium. By the action of this enzyme and this acidification, okay, there is a release of calcium ion. Now the last step in the bone resorption is the endocytosis. The osteoclast, they engulf those debris, those residual part of the bone, okay, and they internalize those parts. That's called the endocytosis. Understanding? Any problem? Once again, the osteoclast cells, they are secreting some of the enzymes, protein digesting enzymes, which digest the bone minerals, okay, and creating the acidic environment, okay, and there is a release of calcium ion. At first is attachment is done by this rapid brush border, then there is a degradation of bone minerals by the help of these enzymes, okay, then there is a release of lots of calcium in the bone blood stream, and there is a endocytosis. Understood? That's the first process. That's called the resorptions. Now we talked about the pathologies. Okay, as you see that there is a secretion of this ligand. Okay, there is a secretion of the ligand, and you know, if it will secreted in an excessive amount, then what happened? The bone will become what? It become like they lost their whole minerals. Okay, bone loses their whole minerals and they become very weak. Okay, they become the very weak. Understanding? They become the very weak. And you know, when there is a depletion in the bone mineralization, okay, when there is a less mineralization in the bone, less minerals in the bone, then these conditions, they result into the many diseases, and one of the most common bone diseases is the osteoporosis. Okay, so how it will regulated, how this RANKL will regulated? They are regulated by the action of one protein that's called the osteoprotegerin. Okay, osteoprotegerin, or we can simply call it OPG, osteoprotegerin or OPG. They compete with this RANKL ligand, okay, RANKL ligand, in the binding with the osteoclast, or we can say the rank. Okay, so there is a one proper ratio of OPG and rank. Okay, there is a one proper ratio of OPG and rank. Okay, that decide that the bone will have the normal remodeling process or it will undergo the pathological process. If there will be a less OPG, it means there is excessive RANK bind with this osteoclast. Now osteoclast continue digesting the bone minerals and bone becomes weak. Okay, bone becomes weak, result into the osteoporosis. And there are other diseases like the Phages disease. Okay, Phages disease, then some of the dental diseases called the periodontal diseases. Okay, write down, that's called the periodontal diseases. Are you understanding? I'm going too fast. Understanding, guys? Understanding? Okay, so, and this is the one way of looking the pathology of the bone. Okay, and there are a treatment. You go with the monoclonal antibodies therapy, antibody therapy. Okay, in this you are artificially synthesizing the antibody and sending. Okay, this antibody, they will take the position of OPG and they compete with this RANKL with binding of the osteoclast receptor. Okay, osteoclast receptor. Understanding? Now there are other factors as well. Okay, there are other factors which are going to activate this osteoblast. If you want to know, then they are called some are called the WNTB catenin pathways. Okay, then mitogen activated protein kinase pathway. Okay, then some of the bone morphogenetic protein pathway, then IGF insulin like growth factor, IGF fibroblast growth factor, then interleukin 6. Okay, fluid flow and osteocyte signaling, they all can generate these ligand. Okay, they all can generate this ligand. Okay, now let's move ahead and discuss the second step, that's called the reversal. Now in the second step there is a appearance of mononuclear cells, and it's like a, we can say, suspended stage of bone formation. It's a suspended stage of bone formation. Okay, bone will take the time. Okay, and in the last process, that's called the bone formation, here what happened, the osteoblast cells, they start lying down the new bone matrix. Okay, they're lying down the new bone matrix, because osteoblast cell, okay, as their name, the bone forming cells, they have their own proteins. Okay, they have their own proteins, enzymes, which involved in the, yeah, very good, which involved in the matrix formation of the matrix of bone. Okay, I'm not going into detail, okay, but you just understand it's forming the matrix of the bone, and the new bone is formed. This is basically the process of bone remodeling. Now we will move ahead and discuss the factors. As I said that bone remodelings can be affected by both systemic hormones and the local hormones. The activation of osteoblast is, we can say, done by the estrogen. Estrogen also activate the osteoblast. Okay, and there will be a expression of this RANKL, understanding, and bone remodeling process will occur smoothly. But in the case of menopause, of the females, there is a less estrogen. Okay, there is a less estrogens, so that the osteoblast will not express this RANKL ligand. Okay, and there is a poor remodeling, or we can say weakening of the bone, or we can simply say it is a osteoporosis. Okay, osteoporosis. Okay, estrogen, then the androgens, okay, the PTH, parathyroid hormone, understanding, then your calcitonin. These all affect the osteoblast. Then the activation of osteoblast is also done, as I said, by the local hormones like your prostaglandins. Write down. These prostaglandins also given the signal and activate the osteoblast, and your metabolically active, or we can say the master bone cell, that is your osteocytes. Okay, osteocytes. And some of the interleukins, they also activate the osteoblasts. So these are some of the factors by which this bone remodeling can be affected. So by this we concluded today's class. We discussed about basically the bone remodeling, okay, the difference between the bone remodeling and we can say the bone repair or bone healing. We seen the steps, we seen the role of our beautiful bone cells like the osteoblast and osteoclast, okay, and about the factors, the diseases, okay, osteoporosis, phages disease, periodontal diseases, okay, and these are all about the bone remodeling. Okay, understanding. Hope you understand today class. In next class we will discuss about the bone repair. Okay, so thank you with having me. Bye, have a nice day.